And thank you for joining us. I'm Nicole Long. We begin tonight in Shenango County, where a verdict has been handed down in the civil trial of two Norwich women facing 65 misdemeanors and 16 felonies related to animal cruelty. 12 News' Brian Melanson was in court in Norwich and brings us more on the verdict.
Underweight, lice-ridden, rain rot, limb deformities, frostbite, and malnourished. These are just a few of the terms used by witnesses to describe the state of 68 animals seized from Lauren McKendry and Fiona Taylor's farm in Norwich in late January. The Shenango County Sheriffs, state troopers, and Susquehanna SPCA were all on hand for the seizure. On Wednesday in North Norwich, a civil trial was held to determine whether or not McKendry and Taylor had to pay the SPCA for the care that it had given the animals since the day of the seizure. The prosecution, led by attorney Kate Ernest, brought in hours' worth of witnesses, including members of the Shenango County Sheriff's Office, multiple veterinarians, New York State Police investigators, and Susquehanna SPCA officials. All of them testified to the appalling conditions of the animals that were found and removed from the farm, which included infections, dehydration, hair loss, and severe diarrhea. The 68 animals included horses, goats, pigs, chickens, bulls, cows, dogs, and cats. After hours of testimony and examination of hundreds of pictures of the animals and their lodgings, North Norwich Town Justice James E. Maddott ruled that McKendry and Taylor must pay $90,000 to the SPCA for care administered and to be administered between January 22nd and March 28th. The defendants have until March 11th to pay the $90,000. If the payment is met, Ernest tells 12 News she will be back in court seeking additional security bonds until the criminal trial is finished. McKendry and Taylor are facing 65 misdemeanors and 16 felonies in relation to the care of their animals. They have pled not guilty to all charges. A date has not yet been set for that trial. In North Norwich, Brian Melanson, 12 News, Shenango County.